Imagine this. You are lying in total darkness. You cannot move your legs. Above you, tons of concrete and steel, pressed down like the fist of an angry god. The air is thick with dust. Each breath feels like swallowing sand. You scream, but nobody hears you. Outside, the world you knew has vanished, and the worst part? You have no idea if anyone is still looking for you. This is not a nightmare. This was January 12, 2010. Port-au-Prince, Haiti. The day the earth opened its mouth and swallowed a city. And this is the true story of a woman who spent 27 hours buried alive and refused to die. Before we go into the darkness, let us understand the light. Haiti is a country on the island of Hispaniola in the Caribbean Sea. It shares the island with the Dominican Republic. On Tuesday, January 12, 2010, the afternoon sun was hot. The streets of Port-au-Prince, the capital city, were busy with life. People were selling fruit in the markets. Children were walking home from school. Taxis were honking their horns. It was an ordinary day, but beneath the ground, something terrible was waiting. You see, the surface of our planet is not solid rock. It is made of giant plates, like pieces of a puzzle that slowly move. Most of the time, we do not feel this movement. But when two plates suddenly push against each other and break free, the energy released is enormous. This is called an earthquake at exactly 4:53 p.m. The Enriquillo Plantain Garden fault line, a crack in the earth 25 kilometers below the city, suddenly slipped. The ground did not just shake, it convulsed. A convulsion is a violent, uncontrollable movement, like a body shaking with fever. Like the earth itself was sick and screaming, the earthquake measured 7.0 on the Richter scale. That number may sound small, but do not be fooled. A 7.0 earthquake releases the same energy as several atomic bombs. Buildings that took years to build collapsed in seconds. Hospitals fell on patients. Schools fell on children. The presidential palace, the symbol of the nation, crumbled into a pile of rubble. Rubble means broken pieces of stone, brick, and concrete from destroyed buildings. When a structure collapses, it does not disappear. It becomes rubble. And for thousands of people on that Tuesday afternoon, rubble became their tomb. Now let us meet our survivor. Let us call her Marie. She was not famous. She was not rich. She was a 26-year-old secretary who worked on the second floor of a 3-story concrete building in downtown Port-au-Prince. She had spent that afternoon filing papers, answering phones, and thinking about what to cook for dinner. At 4:53 p.m., she heard a sound like thunder. But thunder from below, not above. The floor beneath her feet lifted up like a wave in the ocean. The ceiling above her head cracked, the walls folded inward, and then the world went black. Marie did not know how long she was unconscious. Unconscious means asleep or unaware, not awake, not able to see or think. When she opened her eyes, she was not in an office anymore. She was in a coffin made of concrete. Her right leg was pinned beneath a slab of fallen ceiling. Her left arm was free, but her shoulder burned with pain. She could not see anything, absolute darkness. The kind of darkness where you begin to wonder if your eyes are still working. She tried to scream. Dust filled her mouth. She coughed. She choked. She realized with horror that the air around her was not infinite. She was breathing in a small pocket of space, a void between fallen floors. A void is an empty space. And when that void fills with carbon dioxide instead of oxygen, the person inside it dies. Mary did not know this science, but she felt it. Her heart was racing, her breath was shallow. Shallow means not deep. She was taking small, quick breaths because her body knew, even if her mind did not, that the air was running out. What do you do when you are buried alive? First, you panic. Marie screamed until her throat was raw. She pushed against the concrete with her free hand until her fingers bled. She twisted her trapped leg until the pain made her vomit. And then, after some time she could not measure, she stopped. Panic is expensive. Panic burns oxygen. Panic burns energy. And Marie realized, with a clarity that surprised her, that she could not afford to panic. She began to assess her situation. Assess means to carefully examine something and judge its condition. She moved her fingers across the darkness. She felt broken concrete, twisted rebar. Those are the metal bars inside buildings that hold the concrete together. She felt something wet and warm on her leg. Blood. She was not dying quickly, but she was not safe either. Above her, she heard sounds. Distant. Muffled. Muffled means quiet and unclear, like a sound heard through a thick wall. She heard screams. She heard crashes. Aftershocks, the smaller earthquakes that follow the big one. She heard helicopters. She heard voices shouting in Creole and French, and then, slowly, the sounds began to fade. Night fell. The temperature dropped. Marie was wearing only a thin cotton blouse and a skirt. The concrete around her was cold. She began to shiver. Shiver means to shake because you are cold or frightened. She thought about her mother. She thought about her little brother. She thought about the dinner she would never cook. And she made a decision. She would not die in the dark nor 7. Hour 12. Hour 15. Time becomes strange when you are trapped. Without light, without a clock, Marie could not tell if 10 minutes had passed or 10 hours. She marked time by her own heartbeat. By her own breath. She had found a small hole in the rubble above her face, a gap no wider than her finger. Through it, she could feel a whisper of fresh air. That whisper was the only reason she was still alive. She pressed her mouth to that hole and breathed like a diver surfacing from deep water. But breathing was not enough. She was thirsty. Her mouth was dry. Dehydration is the medical word for not having enough water in your body. Without water, the organs begin to fail. The kidneys stop working. The brain becomes confused. Marie knew, everyone in Haiti knew, that the human body can survive only about 3 days without water. But she also knew that every hour of sweating, every hour of stress, brought that limit closer. She thought about the rain. It was January, the dry season. No rain was coming. So she did something that sounds disgusting, but was actually brilliant. She used her own urine. She collected it in a broken cup she found beside her. She drank it. To us, this sounds horrible, but to a person dying of thirst, it is survival. Urine is mostly water. It is not clean, and in the mathematics of survival, wet beats dry. This is what I want you to understand about the human spirit. Endurance is not just physical strength. Endurance is the ability to keep going when every option is terrible. It is choosing the least bad choice and surviving 1 more hour. Marie also used her voice. Every 20 minutes she would shout. Not long screams, but short, sharp calls. Here, I am here. She would tap on the concrete with a piece of broken pipe, tapping, a rhythmic sound, a signal that said, "There is life beneath this stone." But no one answered. The city above her was in chaos. Thousands were dead. Thousands more were trapped. Rescue teams from around the world were arriving, but they were overwhelmed. Overwhelmed means to have too much to do, to be defeated by too many problems. There were not enough tools, not enough people, not enough time. And so Marie lay in the dark alone and waited. Here is something the movies do not show you. The real enemy in survival is not the rubble. It is the mind. At hour 18, Marie began to hallucinate. Hallucinate means to see or hear things that are not real. She saw her mother standing in the corner of her concrete prison, holding a lantern. She heard her brother calling her name. She felt hands touching her shoulder, but when she reached out, there was only cold stone. The darkness plays tricks. When the eyes have no light, the brain invents its own images. This is why prisoners in solitary confinement go mad. The mind needs input. It needs the world. Without it, the mind creates its own world, and that world is often terrifying. Marie fought this by talking to herself, out loud, in the dark. She recited the names of every country she could remember. She sang songs from her childhood. She told herself the story of her life, from the beginning to that Tuesday afternoon, as if she were reading a book. She also made a promise. If she survived, she would learn English. She would leave Haiti. She would see the world beyond this island. She would eat an apple, a real cold, crisp apple, and feel the sun on her face without fear. Promises are powerful. A promise to the future is a rope that pulls you out of the present 25, hour 26. Marie had stopped tapping. She had stopped shouting. She had no strength left. Her body was shutting down. Her leg was numb. She could no longer feel it. Numb means without feeling, like when your foot falls asleep, but permanent. She was slipping into a state of semi-consciousness, not fully awake, not fully asleep. Floating, and then a sound, not the sound of aftershocks, not the sound of helicopters, a different sound. Rhythmic, metallic, chink, chink, chink. Someone was digging. Marie did not believe it at first. She thought it was another hallucination. But the sound grew louder, closer. She could hear voices now, men speaking in a language she did not understand. Spanish, English, she did not know. But she did not need to understand the words. She understood the tone. It was the tone of people searching. She gathered every remaining molecule of energy in her body. She tapped the pipe against the concrete. 3 times. Pause. 3 times. The universal signal for distress. SOS, the digging stopped. Silence. And then a light. A tiny, blinding, beautiful beam of white light cut through the darkness above her. A flashlight. Marie began to cry. Not from sadness, from relief. Relief is the feeling you get when something bad ends, or when help finally arrives. "She's alive," someone shouted. "We have a survivor." The next hours were a blur of activity. Rescue workers, volunteers from Chile, she would later learn, carefully removed the concrete above her. They used hydraulic jacks to lift the slab from her leg. Not much, too much water after dehydration can kill you. Just small sips. Sips, tiny drinks. At 7:47 p.m. on Wednesday, January 13th, 27 hours after the earth swallowed her, Marie was pulled from the rubble. She could not stand. Her leg was broken in 3 places. Her body was covered in cuts and bruises. But she was alive. She was breathing. She was looking at the stars, and she was free. The 2010 Haiti earthquake killed more than 250,000 people. It injured 300,000 more. It left over 1 million people homeless. The city of Port-au-Prince was destroyed. For years, the rubble remained, a graveyard in the center of a living nation. But stories like Marie's are why we remember, not because she was special, but because she was ordinary. She was a secretary, a daughter, a woman who wanted to cook dinner. And when the world collapsed around her, she discovered something extraordinary inside herself. She discovered that the human body is fragile, but the human will is not. Now, let us look at some of the vocabulary we use today. Write these words down. Say them out loud. Rubble, the broken pieces of a destroyed building. The earthquake left the city in rubble. Convulsion, a violent, shaking movement. Unconscious, not awake or aware. She was unconscious for several hours. Shallow, not deep. She took shallow breaths to save air. Assess, to examine and judge a situation. She had to assess her injuries. Muffled, quiet and unclear, heard through a barrier. She heard muffled voices above her. Dehydration, the dangerous condition of not having enough water. Dehydration was her biggest threat. Endurance, the ability to continue despite difficulty. Her endurance saved her life. Overwhelmed, having too much to deal with, the rescue teams were overwhelmed. Hallucinate, to see things that are not real. The darkness made her hallucinate. Numb, without physical feeling. Her leg was numb from the pressure. Relief, the feeling when pain or danger ends. She cried with relief when she saw the light. Sip, a very small drink. They gave her water in small sips. Marie kept her promise. She learned English. She left Haiti. She now lives in Montreal, Canada, where she works as a translator and speaks to groups about disaster preparedness. She still has the scars on her leg. She still wakes up sometimes in the middle of the night, feeling the weight of concrete on her chest, but she also still eats apples, cold, crisp apples, and every time she takes a bite, she remembers the darkness and the light that found her. Her story teaches us something important. We cannot control when the ground shakes beneath our feet. We cannot predict when our world will collapse, but we can control our response. We can choose to endure. We can choose to hope. We can choose to tap on the concrete one more time, even when we are sure nobody is listening. And just like Marie learned English to build a new life, every word you learn today is a small act of survival. Every new phrase is a tool. Every story you understand is a light in the darkness. Keep learning, keep listening, keep tapping. If this story moved you, hit the like button. Let the algorithm know that stories of human endurance deserve to be seen. And if you want more history that awakens your English, more survival, more miracles, more proof that the human spirit is stronger than stone, subscribe to Awakening Avenue, turn on the bell, join us, drop a comment below. Which survival story should we tell next? The man who cut out his own appendix, the child who survived alone in the jungle. You decide. Until next time, keep learning, keep enduring, and never stop looking for the light.